just want to say welcome. It's great to see you all, and hope you're having a blessed first week after Pentecost Sunday. I'd like to begin with a word of prayer, then we'll do some orientation, and we'll get started. So the Lord be with you.
Do.
Let us pray. Good and gracious God, we give you thanks for the gift of your Holy Spirit. Come and send your Spirit to be with us, to guide our path, to speak to us, and to continue to illuminate our lives with your presence. Inspire us as we gather this evening to consider the ministry and the life of our synod as we move forward into our synod assembly. We give thanks for the talents, the gifts, and the skills of those gathered on this call and throughout our synod, and for the many ways that your Spirit has gifted us, O God. Be with us now in this time and place. In Jesus' name, amen. So, good evening. My name is Steve Herr. I serve as the bishop, and on our call as well, we have a few folks I'd like to introduce. First of all, our treasurer, Joe Stepansky. Joe's waving. Our chair of our Finance and Budget Committee. It's Lisa Dubé, and she is also waving, and she serves also on our Synod Council and has been, and also Deacon Marsha Roscoe serves as an assistant to the bishop and leads our communications. And all four of us have been involved with this process, developing a proposed budget. So our goal tonight is to provide an overview of the proposed budget that the Synod Assembly will be taking action on and to answer any questions. So we'll spend some time orienting you to the budget, and then we'll spend some time answering your questions. And we hope that this is helpful for you as you prepare to participate in the assembly. Just a couple of reminders. Our Synod Assembly is June 5th and 6th, beginning at 9 a.m. on Friday, June 5th. The budget portion of our assembly will be introduced that morning. And then there will be an opportunity for you, if you would like to make any amendments, to submit those in writing by 8 a.m. the next day. So that's Saturday, June 6th. And then later that morning, we will address any proposed amendments and have discussion on the budget and hopefully pass the budget. Now, we are preparing for the budget year 2027 through 2028. So we're currently in our fiscal year of 2026, 2027. And so this budget won't take effect until February 1st of next year. Hard to believe we're talking about 2027. So anyway, thank you for taking time tonight to be on this call and for your willingness to participate. I want to just invite Treasurer Stepansky and Chair Dubé and Deacon Roscoe if they have any preliminary comments they want to make before we head into the budget. So we'll start out with you, Treasurer Stepansky.
No, I'm pretty good. There will be a budget video during Senate Assembly. That video is done, and I presume heavily edited. And what was I going to say here? Yeah, keep in mind that we're looking at, from February 1st, 2027 through January 31st, 2028. So it's a very long lead time that we're doing here. So
You'd rather just
we're
watch it
trying to
later.
see a little bit into the future. Other than that, no, I'm ready to go.
Thank you, Joe. And I'll turn it over to Chair Dubé and ask if she has anything she would like to add.
I do not. Thank you, though.
Deacon Roscoe.
Unmuted, yeah.
I would just a quick comment, whoever. I can't mute you, Becky and Barbara. So if you don't mind muting yourselves, that would be great. I just want to express words of gratitude. I think I'm appreciative that we have a couple dozen folks on tonight, and there has been a lot of work put into this. We have a new bishop and a new vision and new direction, and so I just appreciate the time that everyone has taken to slow down, really understand why we're doing what we're doing, and so I'm glad that we're here, and I'm thankful that we can answer questions as we go along tonight.
Thank you, Deacon Roscoe. I'd like just to begin to share that This budget building process began back in February as we began to work on it in a collaborative mode, both with Synod staff, the Synod officers, as well as the finance and budget team committee, and met periodically throughout February, March, April, and finally just last week or now 2 weeks ago, I guess, on May 14th at the Synod Council meeting, this proposed budget comes before the Assembly. And of course, ultimately, this is for the Assembly to, it's your budget as a Synod. So you get to debate it, you get to amend it, and you get to discuss it and be able to approve it to guide our ministry as we move into the future. I think it's also always helpful to remember that whether you're at the congregational level or the synodical level or the churchwide level, your budget is a reflection of your mission and your ministry. It's enabling, it's a tool, it's expresses your hopes and your vision for what you would like to accomplish as a synod. Not everything in the budget at this point is figured out in terms of exactly how certain areas will exactly be used, but they are allocated for ministry opportunities in those areas. So I think that's also helpful to understand. Now, how many of you, it might be helpful to know whether you have access to the budget on another screen or whether it would be helpful for us to share it here on Zoom. I'll tell you what, if you are able to see the budget on another screen, maybe you could put a thumbs up sign on your reactions or just in your own personal space, give us a thumbs up if you could see it. I'm seeing Deb can see it. Nobody else. Jane can see it.
Pastor Dell can see it.
Pastor Dell can see it.
So, Bishop, if we don't have enough that can see it, I can share screen, or Joe, we tested screen ahead of time, so he can show screen as well.
I think it'd be helpful for us to show the screen, I think, at this point. There are two documents, just to orient you. One is a summary, and the other is a more line item detail. And I think maybe it would be helpful to begin just with the summary to orient you to it, and then we'll try to dig down into some more detail. Okay, here comes. Great, here comes the summary. And I want to begin by just noting that if you can, when you're looking at the budget summary, you'll see at the top three different lines. The current fiscal year spending authorization. So that's what our current budget is for this year. And then you'll see our proposed budget, and you'll see the changes are listed over there on the right-hand side. The top above the dark line is the income, and we'll go through where our sources of income are for our synod. There below the line, you'll see expenses in three major categories. The first category is what we call external ministry support. The second category is programmatic ministry. The third category is general operations. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to begin with Treasurer Stepansky giving us an overview of the income. And then I think I'm going to walk us through some expenses and invite Chair Dubay and Deacon Roscoe and our treasurer to also weigh in on those as well. So I'll turn it over to Treasurer Stepansky to share with us those income sources.
Yeah, the big one here is mission support. For the first time, I believe, ever in the history of the Synod, we are projecting a 1.98. We're projecting below 2 million in mission support. And let me see if I can make this work. I'm going to show you why. There it is. See if this works. Can you see that? Or can you see the bar chart?
We're seeing congregational mission support
That's
trend
it.
total year. Yep.
Okay. There was a saying that the trend is your friend. And so when you see a trend over 10 years, you begin to trust it. And the trend over that 10-year span has been, this is for mission support, has been negative 2.3%. So we simply extrapolate what we believe we're going to get in 26, 27. And right now we are on target for that. The forecast is actually pretty close. And just take another 2.3% off. And that's how we get 1.98. So as congregations struggle, we get it. I understand all that. And that's less money coming into the Synod from mission support. If there's a way to reverse it, I haven't figured out how, but we'll just go from there. Any questions on that specific item? I know it's rather large. And I presume the budget summary is still up or not?
Nope.
I guess if you get rid of one, you get rid of all of them.
We lost the budget summary, but it
You should
looks
have
like
it back now.
we do have the budget summary back. Thank you.
Okay. I guess when I get rid of one, I get rid of, okay. I'll have to remember that. Legacy fund grants will be increased significantly. And we'll be seeing that a little bit later with money going to candidacy committee. Some of that will come out of existing funds in the restricted area, temporarily restricted area, and others will come literally from the legacy fund distribution, which we anticipate and hope will be somewhat robust come next year. No guarantee, it's based on stock market values, but so far things are looking fairly good.
Joe, for those who aren't familiar with what the legacy fund is, can you describe the legacy fund?
Yeah, legacy fund was set up years ago. It is a permanently restricted fund, and each year we take the average value of the prior 3 ending years balances and take a percentage to that, and then divvy that money out among, I believe it's 5 different sources. Some getting more than others. So it is a permanently restricted fund. We can't touch it except once a year when we distribute money from there. Anyway, that will be increasing based on some of the Synod programs we have existing in our temporarily restricted funds, plus the money we expect to get from the legacy fund. Support from other sources is pretty much the same. Registration for events, I believe that one is an increase in the senior high registrations that we are expecting. And so that's why that's $10,000 higher. And direct interest income, who knows? I have no idea where that's going. My guess is interest is going up, but I don't know, and I would not, swear to that, but I don't see interest rates going down. That looks like at least a conservative estimate. And as far as direct gifts, I don't remember what the source for that was, for that increase was going to be.
Those are direct gifts. Those are direct gifts that we receive from either members of the Synod or outside gifts. And we're hoping that those increase slightly this year.
Okay. And while I'm at it, I'll just take the first expense item. Since we're expecting less from mission support from the congregations, we're going to be sending less from church to churchwide. We send 31% of what we get to churchwide. Well, you get less in, less goes out. And that line's pretty simple. We just won't have as much money to devote to that.
Joe, thank you for that overview of the income. Why don't we pause there and see if there are any questions. If you have questions, you can put them in the chat. Deacon Roscoe is monitoring that, or you can raise your hand and we'll call on you. Any questions about the income?
I don't see any raised hands or questions in the chat.
If you're so inclined, and I saw somebody identified on their name of their where they're from, if you want to identify which congregation you're zooming in from, we'd love to know who's on the call. Not required, but it's fun to see who's represented around our synod and to get to know one another better. I'll begin our conversation around expenses and inviting my colleagues then to also weigh in as we go about. So as we take a look at this, we see I mentioned three major categories: eternal ministry support, external ministry support, programmatic ministry, and general operations. If you look on the far right-hand side, you'll see percentages, and you'll see that 33% of our expenses are part of our external ministry support budget. 18% are part of our programmatic ministry, and 51% is part of our general operations. So we're going to take a look at each of these three categories and discuss them. One of the major shifts that we are proposing this year is that currently our total external ministry support is at 37%. And so we are proposing bringing that down to 33%. So 1/3 of our budget, immediately leaves the synod and goes to either ELCA churchwide expression or other separately incorporated partners, including United Lutheran Seminary, the Lutheran Camping Corporation of South Central Pennsylvania, and the Lutheran Advocacy Ministry of Pennsylvania, and Penn State Campus Ministry. And so currently, one of the major shifts in our budget for this year is a reduction, as Joe mentioned, in mission support dollars to the ELCA. And another major shift is a decrease of $75,000 to United Lutheran Seminary. We'll talk a little bit more about that. And a reallocation of campus ministry funds from Penn State campus ministry exclusively to invest in campus ministries here on the geographical territory of the Lower Susquehanna Synod. Part of the reduction in seminary funding, some of the rationale behind that helped get us to the 33% from the 37%. I would begin by saying none of us enjoys the possibility of reducing anything. There is a lot of great ministry happening across our synod. We would love to be able to support all that we do and more widely. And it's difficult to have to make some difficult decisions. One of the rationales that we discussed with regarding the seminary is that it's positioned a little bit differently than some of those other agencies and institutions. They have a $98 million endowment. They can't access that completely because a lot of that's tied up in seminary scholarships. And they have about a $13 million operating budget. One of the things that was helpful to hear from some of their development folks was that if we could send 2 to 3 seminarians to United Lutheran Seminary each year, that would help make up that decrease. This keeps us in a strong position also in relationship to our other Region 8 synods and their support of the seminary. Moving down through the expenses on that line item, the outdoor ministry, of course, that's Camp Nawakwa, Camp Kirkenwald, and the Whittle Farm. We have reallocated the money for Christian Churches United to reflect more where that money is actually used. It's used in homelessness justice ministry, so we've put that $1,000 down in that portion of the budget. Pennsylvania Council of Churches has just been continuing to decrease its ministry and what it's accomplishing, and so at this point, we're proposing that we no longer fund that ministry, and we feel that there's really strong rationale for that as well. So that is the Lutheran Plan Giving is actually our portion of payment for a position that's currently held by Sister Mary Ann Brock on behalf of the ELCA. So we send money to the ELCA to help fund that gift planner position. I think it'll be easier to take each of these to answer your questions, but it probably would be helpful uh, to hear the whole overview and then to come back in each of these sections to address the particular sections because it's all intertwined. The next portion of the budget is the total programmatic ministry budget. It's 18% of our budget. This includes, as you can see, monies for the care of our rostered ministers. We're trying to emphasize the support of that. Psychological services, in case there's a need for that. Communication is an important part of our ministry and keeping our synod connected. And so we do have costs there associated with software and other tools in order to communicate, including the Zoom call. We have money set aside to help support First Call pastors. That's they're under First Call. Formerly, you might have known that as ABX. The Resource Center for Faith Formation. This is a significant portion of funding for around faith development. And let me just pull up some of the things that are in that. This includes money for our wellness retreat, as well as money for our bishop's convocation, so our support of our rostered ministers and gatherings to support and educate them. Our resource center, our synod still has a resource center. It continues to be less and less used as people are able to access resources online and watch videos and interact with VBS software and curriculum online and no longer need to have the synod purchase those kits and come in and view them. And we do have some books that we can still and other educational materials that we can loan as well, but that continues to decrease the usage there, and so that's reflected. Ecumenical programs, a slight increase there as we seek to try to find ways to collaborate more with our ecumenical partners. Our synod worship is largely the same. There's a slight increase there just on printing costs for synod worship bulletins. These are when we have ordination services or worship at synod assembly. Our candidacy committee, you'll see a large increase there. It's probably worth talking a little bit about that. If you look back up under the legacy fund grants, most of that increase is going to be covered by restricted monies that are already been set aside for seminarian and candidacy support. These include things like having discernment retreats so that we can recruit and develop new rostered ministers and leaders for our church. It includes support for first call candidates who, after they've graduated for seminary and they're waiting for call committees to move through their process, sometimes we need to provide some support to bridge that gap for them as they await for call committees to make their decisions. It also includes some money in there for exploring synodically authorized lay ministry. And so that's a new initiative that we want to take some time to look at in the coming year. And so there is some money set aside for that. In addition, so that is the candidacy piece. In addition, that includes money for psychological evaluations for our candidates. That's a requirement from the ELCA, so we fund that piece as well. And we're also beginning a new program, a new candidacy manual, a new launch. Our synod's one of 10 synods across the ELCA launching that, and there's some money set aside for us to begin that work as well. Faith formation with youth and young adults has long been a strong component of our life together as a synod. You'll see there's a reflection there in some increased costs within the budget to support events such as Winterfest, our annual high school gathering. We had close to 250 participants this last year. Alive, which is our middle school event, is included in that as well. We also have other ministries that we do, including a ministry called Next with those who have graduated from high school. And so that's also reflected there in that. And so that money, some of that money, some of the costs of that are covered up above by the registration fees. So not all of the budget is covered by that, but that's a place in particular where some of those alternate sources of income help support that. Justice ministry is an important part of our life together, and we have money set aside for that. And we also have an increase of $10,000 there to fund a part-time contracted position that will help continue to oversee and foster that work. We have some relief projects coordination that we have some money for. You can see there that we have assembly planning costs. The costs to put on our assembly are covered there in that section. And then evangelism and mission. This is a place where we try to foster congregational vitality and growth and resource congregations. Some of that is in the form of grants. Our synod is has a different model along with 5 other synods than the other 65 synods, or actually other 60 synods across the LCA, where we don't send as much mission support dollars to the LCA and then have them grant that money back to us. We keep that money and then grant it ourselves. So we're not part of their granting process. And that has been something we've been a part of now for almost, it's not quite a decade, but getting close to it. There is an increase there as we've set aside an additional $30,000 to try to foster some resources for congregational vitality and growth, collaboration, and partnership. And you can see that the total of that for the year is up from our current year, but still reflects about only 18% of our budget. And then I'll just introduce this final segment, and then we can ask, get into more detail on any of the line items you wish, or be able to answer any of your questions. Our final category is general operations, and that includes money for our Synod Council and some of our standing committees. They have expenses as we've been starting some workshops for our congregational leaders. We held a workshop for council officers back in March. We had a workshop last fall for constitutional and archival questions, and we're hoping to do more of these types of workshops for our congregations and their lay leaders. We have general office operating costs. Those are we're anticipating about the same. We do not own any property. We do have a lease, a 10-year lease with Trinity Lutheran Church in Camp Hill for what it was their parsonage, and that is where our synod headquarters is located. And you can see there that we have a cost there of $38,000 a year for that. Our office operations costs, we're hoping to keep those largely the same. You can see our human resources. We have reduced our staff, and that is reflected there as well. We did bump up our travel costs to reflect what everybody is experiencing, which has been an increased amount of costs around gasoline and those costs. And we don't have any transitional needs this year with regards to the budget. And so you'll notice that our general operating budget actually is going down this year, or proposed to go down a couple $1,000s. So you can see there that our total income, we anticipate roughly the same, just slightly above what we currently have You notice that we have a reserve of, Joe, what is our current reserve?
The audited, and this is audited as of January 31st, was about $286,000.
Okay, so we're gonna tap into that reserve this year, hopefully. Um, we anticipate about $50,000, and we're anticipating only about $30,000 to tap into that reserve to balance our budget for next year. Obviously, you can't always keep tapping into reserves, but we also strive to keep about $100 to $150,000 in reserves. Um, so we are a little bit above what that is. I'm going to stop there. I want to ask Joe, Marsha, and Lisa to weigh in that order, and then we'll entertain any of your questions you have. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to emphasize the total general operations portion. You don't often see that go down. Now it's not going down by a lot, but it's still going down. And as Bishop said, that's part of that is a smaller staff, and a part of that we still have a vacancy, I believe. And so that's what's going on here. There, as you'll hear in my budget video, if you're there, I say 2 or 3 times something has to give. You keep getting less mission support, something has to give. And there's just no real way around it. The other thing I'd like to point out, and if I may just share this, and I'll probably screw this up, but that's okay. Here we go. This is what we've done over the past since 2017, basically since I took over. Okay, so we've done really well with everybody's funds, with the mission support you get. 2020, 2021 is kind of an anomaly. That's the payroll protection program. That was the loan that turned into a grant. Many of you, I think, got the same thing, and that's why you see a big bump there. And quite frankly, that's the majority of our current reserves. If we had not had that, we would have been having very different discussions all along from 2020 on. 2026, 27, right now we are, because of vacancies and whatnot, we are actually currently, now it's only through April, forecasting a surplus again. Now, whether that stays or not, who knows, but we basically estimated a $50,000 deficit. That's the worst case, but right now we are projecting a surplus. So it's still speculative, but that's how things have gone. And you can see that, we've done a fairly decent job with that. So that's why we have the reserve we have. Now let's see if I can do this without, yeah, I knew that would happen. Hold on. There's got to be a way to make that happen without screwing everything up. But I haven't found it yet. So here we go. And that should be the whole screen. It tells me that I'm sharing. Are you seeing that again?
Yes.
Okay. So we're projecting roughly a $33,000 deficit. Right now, again, we're at $286,000 in reserves. We would like that to be at least $100,000. And so we do have some money to play with. However, you can say, well, we could spend on this and spend on that and spend on the other thing. And that's true. And we could absorb all that. But what do you do the next year? And what do you do the year after that? And the year after that? And et cetera, et cetera. We'd like the Synod to continue operating. And so you could run a really massive deficit and we could handle it. But I'm thinking farther down the road. I'm thinking, 2028, 29, 30, et cetera, et cetera. And that's more or less why we're trying to keep. You can either come in for a hard landing or you can come in for a gentle landing. And we're trying the gentle landing approach, which is a whole lot easier than the hard landing. we would, blow up our deficit in 1 year. That's why you're seeing 33,000. We can easily do that, and it buys time to figure out where everything's going. And I'll take any questions anybody has, but that's pretty much what I.
We do have a question from Virgil Gibson.
So, Joe, thank you for this a lot of obvious hard work here, but I have a curiosity question, and this is related to the total exterior or external ministry support category. And the items above that, even though it looks like we are increasing in expense, for example, well, no, I guess I got confused by the very first line where it shows that we are decreasing our mission support to the church-wide ministries, and yet the 13,950 is black.
Yes, I
And I
would
was
take that.
expecting it to be red, but I understand now why. But it's just a curiosity thing. I figured it would be red since we were decreasing.
Yeah, since I designed this thing, I will explain that. Basically, on the income section, if the two are reversed, and that's just how it goes with these things. On the income section, if you see a red, it's worse. If you see a black, it's better. And that also pertains to expenses. If you see a black, it's better. In this case, lowering expenses is considered better. Okay, and increasing expenses is considered worse. So it's just basically the formula is just reversed between income and expense. And if anybody doesn't understand that, you can, ask again, or if you see me at assembly, you can ask me there. I've been asked that question before, and I'll be asked again. It's fine.
Good question, Virgil. Thanks for raising it. Lisa, anything you would want to add on these expenses before we field more questions?
Nothing particular, except just again, just to remind everybody, I do think that, the Synod Budget Committee and Joe and yourself, there was a lot of hard work that went into this with some really tough decisions. So I do want to thank everybody and let everybody know that they, it was very thoughtfully done.
Thanks, Lisa. Marsha, anything you want to add?
Just something brief. I'm going to put a link in the chat. So just to Lisa's point here is that I know tonight we're talking about numbers, but I commend to you to read the bishop's report, because when you look at the bishop's report, he names what our areas of priority are. And so he goes into more of a narrative detail about his vision for that and how we've been living into that. So when you hold that parallel to this, you get more of a missional narrative of what's going on, and it might make more sense into some of these categories. So as you're thinking about the budget and wondering what's going on, the bishop's report in the 200 section might be really helpful. That's all.
Thank you, Marsha. Okay. We want to make sure that there's plenty of opportunity for questions, and this is designed to help orient you as you head into the assembly, to give you the information you need to vote and to make an informed decision or to propose amendments. I will share that our rules of procedure state that if you are to make an amendment to the budget, so for example, if you want to increase one area of expense, the overall budget needs to stay within the anticipated income that is proposed. I think I'm correct in that. Is that right, Deacon Roscoe?
That's correct. So then there cannot be a net change. So at the end of the day, the net change cannot change.
But it does allow for, if you want to see monies reallocated within that.
Yes. Now, some of these categories are underwritten by some of these other grants. So I think you just come to the team and we'll help you figure that out if you want to propose any kind of amendment or seek deeper clarity.
Yeah, we have folks available. If you come and don't know how to craft the motion, just reach out to us and we just tell us what you want to do. We'll help you be able to craft it. So. as we mentioned, there will be an introduction to the budget at the meeting. This will include a video starring our treasurer, Joe, and Lisa will be available throughout the assembly. So will Joe, Marsha, myself, and others if you have any questions or want further clarity. Also, in the week leading up to the assembly here, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Just pause there for just a few more seconds to see if anybody else has any questions. As Deacon Roscoe mentioned, these documents, both the detail and the summary, are located on the website along with a lot of other information. Certainly encourage you as we head towards the Assembly Week to take a look at all of that information that's found on the Synod website. And look for another email coming out from the Synod office, just with some final reminders about our Synod Assembly. We're really looking forward to the week. Just while I have you on the call, just a reminder, we're inviting every congregation to bring a small vial of water from a body of water located in the territory of their congregation. And there will be a display for you to place that in as you come into the assembly. Also, we're inviting you to bring pictures of United States military personnel who are serving, members of your congregation who are serving in the active duty or reserves or National Guard. And we're going to place those on a wall to keep those folks in our prayers throughout the assembly. So feel free to bring those pictures as well. Any questions about the budget or assembly while we're here? Just want to make sure. I'm not seeing any, and there's also a recording of our general orientation session that took place 2 weeks ago, so that's also available for you. Thank you all so much. Have a blessed evening, and thanks for your time.
Yes, thank you.